Alright, this video is going to cover negative bases and exponents with negative signs. There's a big difference between the two. So we're looking at these two problems. One of them has parentheses, one of them does not. This makes a huge difference. When the negative number is in parentheses and the exponent is on the outside, the negative sign is included when you work it out. So when you work it out, you're going to think of this as negative 3 times negative 3. And then that works out to a positive 9, so because you have the two negatives being multiplied. Over here on the right, this negative is not in parentheses, so what you do, you apply the negative after you do your exponent. So it's going to be negative whatever this works out to. So 3 times 3 is 9, so this one's going to be negative 9. So we'll go through a few more examples of this. So here we have negative 2 in parentheses to the third, and then negative 2 to the third. So we have this negative 2 in parentheses. This negative gets included when working it out. So we have a total of negative times negative times negative. 3 negatives are being multiplied. It's going to be a negative answer. And 2 to the third power, hopefully you know by now that that's going to be 8. Over here, the negative sign gets applied after you do your exponent. So we're going to have negative, whatever this works out to, and it works out to 8. So in this case, they both worked out to negative 8. Some kids start to notice things about when it's in parentheses, and then they check out the exponent. Some kids start to notice things. Let's see if you pick up on it. So in this next one, are they going to work out to the same thing, or will one be positive, one be negative? Hopefully you realize both of these you're going to be multiplying 3 to the power of 4, which works out to an 81. But is it going to be a positive or a negative 81? Well, let's look at this left one here. The negatives included. How many negative signs will be involved? Well, the exponent's 4. That means there's going to be 4 negatives. That's an even amount of negative signs being multiplied. That means the answer is going to be a positive 81. Over here, the negative gets applied afterwards. So you're going to do your 3 to the 4th, and then you're going to get an 81 and stick a negative sign in front of it. So some of you might be seeing the patterns that help you figure out if it's going to be positive or negative. Here's the cheat sheet. Here's the trick. If there's no parentheses and a negative sign, it's always going to be negative. Just like this. No parentheses and it's a negative, it's going to be negative. Same thing here. The negative just comes over. You do 2 to the 5th and you get your 32 and stick a negative in front of it. If you have negative bases in parentheses with an odd exponent, the answer is always going to be negative. So let's look at a couple examples of this. So we've got a negative base in parentheses and an odd exponent. That means there's going to be an odd amount of negatives, which makes your answer negative. Same thing here. You've got negative bases and you've got odd exponents. It's always going to be negative. If you have negative bases in parentheses and an even exponent, it's going to come out positive. So we've got a negative base in parentheses and an even exponent. It comes out positive. Same thing here. We've got this negative 2 in parentheses with an even exponent. It's going to be positive. Negative bases with even exponents, it comes out positive. If you want, do a screenshot of that or something. That should help you out. This is what you want to remember. Are these equal? This little question mark over an equal sign basically means, are these two statements equal? So negative 7 to the second, negative 7 to the second, but one's in parentheses. We're going to have the number 49 involved in both of them. One's going to be positive, one's going to be negative though, and that's where you have to be real careful. This is in parentheses with a negative, and it has an even exponent. It's going to come out positive. You'd think of this as negative 7 times 7. This one's going to be negative 7 times 7. 2 negatives over here make a positive. Over here, the negative's going to drop. So they're not equal. This equal with a slash means not equal to. Let's try a couple more of these. We have negative 8 in parentheses as the base to the power of 2. Then we have 8 to the power of negative 2. I went over this in a lesson previously, but a lot of kids forget about this. This is going to come out to a positive 64. Negative 8 times negative 8 makes a positive. Over here, this negative sign means that this number is going to be very small. It's going to be 1 over 8 times 8. So this one's negative 8 times negative 8. Anytime you have a negative exponent, you're just going to do 1 over the same exponent. And so this becomes positive 64. These two are not equal. 64 is not equal to 1/64. We're going to do just some practice here. Negative 4 to the third, it's definitely going to be negative, and 4 to the third is 64. I'm going to just let problems pop up. You can pause it, think about it, and then hit play. So here's the next one. Go ahead and hit pause, try it out. Hopefully you're realizing that it's not going to be 12. You don't just do 4 times 3. You go 4 times 4 times 4. And so it's going to be one of these 64s. There's 3 negative signs involved, so it's going to be a negative 64. Here's another one. Hopefully you're going to eliminate A and B, because you'd never have 8 to the second become 16. And the negatives included, there's 2 negatives then, which makes it positive. All right, then we have this one. Hopefully just seeing the negative in the front, no parentheses, means it's definitely going to be negative. You can narrow it down to B and D. And you don't do 3 times 4 and get 12. You do 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is going to give you the negative 81. Negative 12 in parentheses to the second power. As soon as you see it's in parentheses, you want to see how many negative signs you'll be dealing with. And you'll be dealing with 2 negatives, so that's going to be a positive. It's going to come out positive 144. Negative 5 to the third. 5 to the third is going to be 125. This negative's included, so there's going to be a total of 3 negatives. It's going to be a negative 125. 3 to the negative fourth. Okay. This is another one where automatically if you see a negative exponent, it's going to be 1 over something. This is for base 3. Base 10, there's some different tricks you can use, but this is a base 3 exponent. You're going to go 1 over, and then whatever 3 to the fourth works out to. A negative exponent does not make an answer negative. So it's going to be A. Negative 15 to the second. Hopefully you can narrow it down to C or D. Hey, negative, 2 of them included, so it's going to become a positive. Negative 16 to the second. It's not in parentheses, so the answer is definitely negative. And then 16 times 16 is going to be 256. It's definitely going to be negative because the negative's in the front. It's not in parentheses. So it's going to be negative. 14 times 14 is 196. Negative exponent, it's immediately going to be 1 over something. And once we've addressed the 1 over, it's just 15 to the second, so it's going to be A. Negative exponents don't make answers negative. If the base was negative, it might have been negative. That's where you have to be real careful. I see a negative in parentheses. There's going to be 2 of them. We can automatically know that it's positive. And 17 times 17 is 289. Finally, I see a negative, negative drops. It's not in parentheses. And 13 times 13 is 169. And that's about it. I hope this helps. Best of luck to you.